Hey guys, it's Easy Weezy here once again, and it's a pleasure to be with you guys once again. And welcome to my channel, welcome to my Substack channel, welcome to my YouTube channel. For those who are going to be on YouTube, for those who are going to be watching in Substack, welcome to each and every one of you. And a big shout out to the Substack community, to the YouTube community, and to each and every one of you who has been watching my videos, who has been taking the time to read my posts and for liking, for commenting, for sharing their ideas and the reviews with me. For those who have taken it upon themselves to help spread my word out, a big shout out to each and every one of you. And it is been on a series lately from the fall of man, consciousness being the fall of man, to inner somatic shift, to reflection and projection, the world being a living matrix, to quantum synesthesia, and are your thoughts bound by time, which is the last video I just put out. And it has been like a journey of consciousness, a journey of experience, a journey of time, and learning much. And from you guys, just as I'm putting it out, I'm also trying to learn from you guys. And today I'm going to be talking about something quite similar, but a deviation from time, or about quantum. We're talking about more about perception per se. And I just want to say, if you find such topics interesting, if you find topics like consciousness, perception, sensations, spirituality, science, neuroscience, and if you find such topics interesting, feel free to hit the subscribe button, feel free to follow, feel free to put your notifications on for more videos like this. As I look to share more and document more experiences and share more knowledge that are not maybe not generally accepted or talked about, but in whatever way I like I said, if one hand washes the other, both become clean. And if one understanding and experience rubs off the other, and then there's more clarity, not just for me, but for the listeners and for others who are also going to be sharing their own experience and their understandings and their findings and their questions and their search for understanding what existence is all about and what humanity is all about and all that. And today I'm going to be talking about something really interesting. I did make a note about it the other day when I talked about the eyes and the comparison between the eyes being liquid and also the eyes being liquid, and also the symbolism between being liquid and then water, and putting that out to the fluidity of perception per se. And that I did put a note about it. And today I'm going to be talking about it in experience, and it has been talked about quite a while from various books, which I'm going to leave some links for those who are going to be wanting to like get more insight and more knowledge. They could go read and again see. But the topic of today, it's a very beautiful one. I would say what you see isn't always what is real, and what you feel may not be yours alone, which is something that has been said for people that are highly sensitive, for people who have high sensitivity. They get to feel like empaths, you can say. Empaths who feel other people's emotions and sensations too. So that is not just about emotions now, but it also applies when it comes to vision and sight and perception per se, intuition and all that. And then the core idea, before I go that, before I go to the core idea behind my video, I want to say something I've always touched on before when I talk about the concept of God. The concept of God, or the ideology of God, or the knowledge of God, of the divine, of the spirituality of life. Many people, or I say quite a number of people, will not want to accept it because everything has become so scientific, and science is advancing at a tremendous level, making what was once spiritual almost become normal to us. Because someone said you cannot distinguish good science, something that is a beautiful science, from magic. So you can see that even the scientists actually knew about the existence of magic, even if it's metaphorical in a sense. But they had the awareness that magic was once like played in this aspect, but science just made it more physical and more tangible. But in the workings behind it is also, like I said in my video, when I said science is just playing on what is already there. It has been in existence, but it had various forms. But now it's just the forms have changed, but what will I say? The forms have changed, but the experience is still the same in a sense. The forms may have changed, the styles may have changed, but the experience is still the same. And in that, that is why I want to say the concept of God. People have thought about the knowledge of God. They have reduced it over many, many thousand years. And again, we end up finding it coming back to life again. And then saying that shows the significance of this, or this ideology about God. Like, let me just touch something we do so often. If you want to shower, if you want to, like I said, if you want to shower, you have to you don't just, okay, let's say the rain is coming, but you have to put yourself out there. Okay, when you're out there, you have to do some other things to allow yourself to have a good bath. It goes with eating, it goes with even learning music, going to listen to songs, even singing. You don't, for those that can sing, you don't just stand there and just sing, but you take some intentional steps about opening your mouth and then letting the vocals flow out. And for those who can't sing or who want to hum, there's an intentionality in that. All I'm just trying to say about the intentionality in everything, when it comes to the works of science or art or anything, there's an intentionality in that aspect. And in that intentionality is what I see. Like, that is it. That is the intentionality. Is what connects with the divine. If you want to be connected with the divine, you be it with meditation or that. There's an intentionality in all that aspect. And that is what I just want to touch on. And in going to that aspect, I want to talk about the core idea behind it. Our eyes, like mirrors, reflect, but mirrors don't reveal the truth. They show surfaces. The eyes can be cloaked by illusions, expectations, or even another's points of views, and still remain your eyes. They are liquid, mutable, and reflective, easily fooled. Science proves perception is a construction, not a window. Mystics have long said reality is a veil, not a fact. This journey explores what happens when perception bends, how illusions, empathy, and spiritual visions all challenge what we think is real. In this bending, we may find not confusion but clarity. And on that note, I just want to say, they said the journey of how we explore how perception bends, of how your eyes can be cloaked. I gave you in my first video I dropped about the consciousness being a full of man, when I talked about bottles or vessels, and then having water inside. And then when you taste it, when you don't taste it, you just look at it with your eyes, you think all water are the same, or all the cans, if you eat blue cans, red cans, or black cans, you think they're all the same thing, right? But when you think they're all different, sorry. You think they're all different, like this can has blue, so this water is different, this can has white, so this water is different. But when you go taste them, you see that they are all water, except it's dirty, like you intentionally to make it dirty or polluted or something. But they are all liquid and they are all water. So in that same sense about how you see different cans can have the same water, but you can be perceived and seen differently. And that is what I said. And there was something I had listened to, of how we could be fooled our eyes. Like, I don't know, I believe it's Khalil Gibran or something. I believe this is how it goes. Someone was approaching a mountain, and then the eyes say, I can see a mountain. The ears say, I don't hear a mountain. The nose say, I don't smell a mountain. The tongue say, I can't taste a mountain. The hand can't even touch a mountain, but the eyes can see. That makes the eyes, the optics. That's why the scientists say the eyes are so large, like the auditory circuits, the optical circuits in the brain, they are the biggest. And so if it's the biggest, so when the eyes is full, you just imagine how things go wrong. When perception is full, just imagine how things go wrong. Being the biggest circuits in the brain, If the optics is bad, then just imagine how things will go wrong. The eyes is beautiful, but it could also become dangerous. What was made to bring us joy, what was made to bring us beauty of joy, enable us enjoy the beauty of life, could also become something that makes life entirely unbearable. And that is just all I'm trying to bring about in this video. And then let's go through a short poem or a short prose or a short write-up, as I always say. And can your eyes be fooled? A journey into perception, illusion, and consciousness. Have you ever looked at something only to realize that it wasn't what you thought? Like I gave the example with just water and cans. You saw a red can and the blue can, the same water inside, but you think it's different, but then only to realize that it's the same thing. Maybe it was a dress that you saw as black and blue, and others saw it as white and gold. Maybe it was just that feeling. You are not just seeing the world, but somehow the world is seeing you back. This is a journey about perception, about how easily the eyes can be fooled, how vision is more than seeing, and why truth might be deeper than the visible. Here it is just like wearing a box, and in this box, this is our reality. Every other thing just comes into this box at different times, and then we can call it. But what about, in my video I talked about projections and reflections. In that video I talked about how mirrors and the phones and the screens which were used in ancient times, like the mirrors or the use of water, were used as means of projections and to manipulate, to control and all that. It's happening now, and that is why you see people are trying to break free from their phones. Just imagine how addictive it has become, right? You can see that your eyes have become so used to being on and being used as a channel for dopamine, that when you're looking at your phone, you're getting dopamine hit. That's what scientists call, and it has been programmed in that way that we now use our phones. If you're not with your phone or you're using the device at the moment, it feels like someone is sick, or that is how programmable human beings are in a sense. We're like the brain is not a machine, not a symphony, but we as human beings, the physicality of us are like machines that can be programmed, like large language models, LLM. You can say program to do what and do that, and in that shows not just the scientific nature of life, but the spirituality of life. Many might not want to accept the spirituality of life, or there are things that are not understood, or science playing upon the spirituality of life. Many people might not want to accept it, but in a sense, coming to look at life and how we have gone this far, you can tell that if you want to talk about the hands that were seen in the caves, the men that lived of old, how they lived and got to this part. You might say, many of them, you might say, you need to say they demonized everything, which is true. They demonized everything, in a sense, yes. There were some terrible things that were not demonized, that they now say, oh, well, it could be abstract. And that is how growth has left to where we have a scientific line. And now we are in the scientific phase where it's now like, okay, science is now almost everything. Now, science is just playing what is there and what has been there. And in that unity about science, psychology, and philosophy, that is where the trifactor and the beauty of life. Those understanding makes life more beautiful. Those understanding makes life more amazing in a sense, not just the scientific aspect of life. The cloaked eye. Let's start with something strange but true. Your eyes don't show you the world, they show you what your brain thinks. Sounds weird, it's science. From optical illusions to inattentional blindness, what you expect shapes what you see. When they say or observation shapes reality. What you don't observe or what you don't pay attention to, actually, you might think it's not there, but it's there. Like Jordan Peterson said, you can't imagine the workings that makes you do what you do. If you could just take a look at like what you do on a daily basis. If it's just about talking, like I'm talking to you now, it's about just listening. It's about just lifting something up, the hands. If it's about just reading or anything at all, just imagine how it is. It is normal to us, but just imagine the workings behind it And do you think the people of old, before writing, before reading became normal, do you think they did it? So that goes to appreciate what those people have actually done, because it was from them that we got to this point. Reading, listening, talking. Like, how do we talk? How do we communicate? I don't think it was entirely in this way we are communicating now. Before, it was much difficult, maybe sign language. Maybe we just, like if you go to some hidden tribes in Africa, where they still make sounds like talk, those are signs of communication. But for us now, English has become so prevalent. Now we're speaking English. You understand me, I understand you. It has become so normal, but that normality, we don't appreciate it. Appreciation comes by that awareness about how did we get this to this point in life. Is it how did we get here? And in getting here, and in that appreciation, and that awareness, and that gratitude, it makes us appreciate life more, appreciate your fellow human beings more, and then also have more experience and enjoy the deeper experience that we tend to overlook. Researchers at MIT and Harvard have shown that the brain can literally block out things that are there if you're not paying attention. And then, like I said, science is explaining what is there. You talk about VR. When you put on your VR glasses, you are seeing, but you're not seeing what is there anymore. You're seeing what the VR glasses is giving you. Just in that one, let me just touch on this in explanation. And this shows what I mean when I say the eyes is fluid and perception can be rearranged to see what is not there. Because in that VR section of augmented reality, you are in this earth, but you are seeing something entirely different, in a different world. Now, what about people who are actually schizophrenic? What is different in that aspect? Because they are seeing, but you can see that they are seeing things that are not there. And then they are calling it angels, they're calling it demons, they're calling it spirits. You laugh at it, but now you take off your glasses and then you're seeing the 3D world where you're walking and you're playing game. You are calling it science. Are there no similarities in those two aspects? Yeah, you can call one is actually this, one is, the doctors have said it's bad. It's actually, I just showed you the similarity between the aspects. And now let's go to the auditory circuit. Now I'm listening to the music, and the background music is, you're listening to it too, and you put on your headset. You are not listening to anything in this 3D or space or reality that you are in, and you're in another reality entirely, where you're listening to music, and that music is just a new reality of itself. And then in that aspect of it, is that when you say someone who is hearing voices, what is the difference between it? Just that yours is because you did it intentionally, because that is what I said. You took up your earpiece and you put it in your ears, and then you take your phones like iPhone, and then you play, and then you start listening to something, you start hearing something so clear that other voices became blocked out. Okay, now take it to someone they call mental illness, they call it schizophrenia and all that. The person is actually listening to something. He's hearing something clearly. You are not hearing it, just like you are on your earpiece. I'm not hearing the music, I'm going to sing it out. But that person that's schizophrenic is actually hearing something differently. I put something about synesthesia, about a young toddler who actually, when he saw a picture of an X-ray of a child on a baby, and then he started hearing voices. The child is synesthetic, meaning it mixing sound with the waves, has a heightened sense of the auditory are actually heightened. It be easily, before synesthesia had a name, maybe we could call that something else. Yes, we have given it a name, because when you give it a name, it becomes easy to categorize. But I just wanted to point out the similarities of what is actually being scientific and what was there before, in a sense. But we differentiated, because one, we saw it as mania, and the other, we saw it as having fun. And then the eyes can be cloaked. Most of the issues and most of the problems we have in the world today, most of are just as a result of misinformation. Like, the media has been able to misinform people for so many things, and you can see how the COVID was actually there was so much misinformation about the COVID, and then there was social distancing and how we were programmed not to touch each other, how we were programmed not to talk to each other facially, to always put your masks, not to even touch, to keep distance. We're just programmed in that way. That's going to show how easy humans can be programmed, how we can be programmed in a large sense. And then in that I'm giving the similarities between what was there and what is being played upon it now, that is technological and scientific, but it's normal for us. Now let's go to mirrors. And then here's a poetic idea that is more true than it sounds. Just like mirrors reflect others but remain a mirror, the eyes can reflect someone else's vision and still be yours. When I talk about reflection and projections, in ancient Africa or in Asian, we talked about how people can be manipulated. Someone who is normal, all very normal today, very, very okay, all of a sudden just starts acting weird. Let's go to all of a sudden you start acting weird. Now let's go to how it's programmed with the eyes. When you say someone is programming with the eyes, and then the eyes just takes it. Someone just uses like just gave you something about COVID now. Now let's use your phones as an example. Your phones are now the new programming device, because everybody has a phone, and the phone is a reflective surface, and the phone is just something that is projecting different things onto our psychic, onto our spirit. And then you're using your phone. As you're using your phones, you're having different thoughts that are not yours. You're seeing yourself making how will I say, you're having thoughts that are not entirely yours. You are seeing things that are not something you really want to see, or maybe if you want to see it, like I said, you think about bags and shoes, and then you just start seeing bags and shoes. But to use the eyes, how the eyes can be cloaked. In ancient times, you can go to the temples, you go to the shrines to get knowledge, and then you dip your eyes inside water. They say take this, and then you start seeing. Like when you're on a psychedelic trip, you start seeing the world in 3D in a very different face, or in a different very. Like there's a thin line that separates living and the dead. And then they have called it purgatory. In some names they have it as purgatory and all that. And you're having connections with spirits, you're having connections with things that are not visible, but they are there in presence. And in that you can be programmed. Humans like you and I, we can be programmed to see, like you are seeing like you're having a wife or an husband or a child is seeing the mom as someone that is not angry with the mom, and just seeing everything evil in the mom, and not even seeing the good aspect of the mom. But what? This is a child that has been loving. This is a child that has been caring. I gave you this example when I talked about how you take this water and put it in a cup, and how you can see a child who is conscientious, who is very good. Okay, a child who's conscientious and very good, all of a sudden this child will start losing those conscientious qualities and all those things that made the child also glory and beautiful, and just behaving like someone else. You can just draw this water like the spirit, because in the Bible it says there are three things: blood, the spirit, and water. They're all the same thing. And then you take it and you put it in a cup, and then that cup becomes it. So your vision can be used on someone else's vision, or someone's putting a vision. Then you start saying things very, 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 like everything just becomes bad. You that is seeing positive. You might call it, science will call it stress. Science will call it names. Like Carl Jung said in his book, When I Was Into Man and His Symbols, he said the primitive man called it demons and spirits, but the modern man called it phobias, call it stress and anxiety. You see, the names just changed, but the action or the style has changed, but the effect is still the same in a sense. When we empathize, really feel what someone else feels, something incredible happens. Our brain activates as if we are going through it ourselves. Mirror neurons discover the monkey and believed to exist in humans. Fire, not just when you do something, but when you watch someone do it. I wrote something about mirror sensation. You see someone hot and then you feel it on your body. So in a way, you can borrow another's experience and see it through their eyes. Why are the eyes liquid? Not just physically, but symbolically. Because water is reflective. It is also changeable, and our vision, our perception is just like that. The tear film on your eye is not just for crying, it helps focus light. It shows how delicate vision is. A little distortion and everything becomes blurry or altered. That's true in a spiritual sense too. Just a little shift in your perception or in your perception between you and someone, maybe someone you know, and then you just see someone and say, the person just started acting crazy. You just see someone, a statement is saying, the person just lost it. He just lost it. That's just examples of it. Many ancient traditions, from Hinduism to Buddhism to Sufism, say the world is an illusion, a dream, a veil. Maya, the Sanskrit word for illusion, doesn't mean fake. It means we only see a small piece of the world. Like I posted in my notes, the brain, the more we understand the brain, the more we understand that the brain is not just, the brain is really, really, really an amazing device. The brain is just trying to protect us in a sense. Maybe not protect us, because when you are a child, babies are more sensitive than adults, because babies still retain that innocency and that clarity, that purity when they are a child. That's why a baby has a way of seeing or knowing what is, some babies just like somebody, and some babies just see someone and just don't like that person. Sensitive. And that some people actually retain that sensitivity as they grow older, and then you're able to feel others' emotions. If you are just with someone, you just feel angry. Those are not your emotions, those are someone else's emotions just rubbing off you because of your high sensitivity, and then you become very angry. Goes to that mood of not just being angry, it goes to sadness. You are happy, but you just came in contact with someone, you just became very, 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 very sad. Like, for those who are watching their energy levels are of different levels, on different vibrations, and in that vibration you just vibrated to that somebody's vibration. That sadness just rubbed off your own. It goes with emotions to not just when it comes to sadness, but be happiness. Some people, you just be around them and you just become very happy, like a ray of sunshine. Some people, you just be around them and everything just looks so pain, sad. It's true. You might not notice it, but the more when you start paying awareness to it, when you start being conscious of it, you see that it's actually true. For children, it is more. You see, some children don't want to go to some people. They just don't want to. They don't want to. See someone start crying, but see someone else start laughing. That's why I said all babies are born synesthetes. Language, society, life just pruned it in a very different sense. Synesthesia is the name they call it, when senses overlap. And then you have different sensations spilling into different organs in the brain, giving a range of sensitivity of different variety, different ranges and different sizes. And that is a scientific name. What I feel is more, it's spiritual, because physics playing on things that have been there. The water cycle has been there, it doesn't change. That is physics. Physics is just showing you that this is how it has been. But because physics got to understand the spirituality, that is why it could explain it in the physical. And the water cycle not just happens in physics like in the water, it happens to you as a human being. They say your bones are like that of a rock. Your blood is the same thing as the water. Your air is the water cycle. When you pee, the Bible says your pee will not be given as wine to your enemies, as strangers shall not eat your corn. Your pee is a water cycle. When you pee, do you think the pee you have been peeing, where do they go to? They go back to the water and then come back to you. That is it. And if I want to tell you, your pee, when you go pee and you pee and you take it out, it comes back to you as thoughts. Because everything starts with thoughts. Everything starts with thoughts, in a sense. When you pee, it comes back to you as thoughts, either from good thoughts or from... And they said something that is similar. They said, why is it that you can't always swallow your saliva at all times? Why is it? Have you ever wondered it? Because are you always conscious that you're thinking all the time? But when you are thinking and when your mind is really somewhere, and then you just go this way, most of the time you end up going, and the next thing you do is just when consciousness just triggers, you just swallow your saliva. Pay attention to it, and then you say. Illusions as the spiritual thing. Many traditions, okay? Mystics across time, like Rumi, Teresa of Avila, Mr. Eckhart, have reported visions and revelations that challenges normal perception. Sometimes the illusion is what helps you wake up. Like Zen corners designed to break the mind so that you can't see without seeing. Modern science echoes this. Psychedelic research describes brain as a prediction machine. Perception, they say, is controlled hallucination. And if that is true, maybe the illusion isn't a mistake, maybe it's an invitation. What does this mean for you? So what can you take from this? What you see isn't what is there. What you feel might come from somewhere else. The world might be less solid and more dreamlike than we think. But that's not scary, it's liberating because it's perception, it's fluid. Then maybe awareness can go deeper and you can see others more clearly. You can question your assumptions. You can choose what you really want to see. We are mirrors, we are waters, we are dreaming with our eyes open. So the question is not, can your eyes be full? The real question is, what are you ready to see? And if you find such videos interesting, if you find such topics captivating, feel free to hit the subscribe button to follow. And if you have more ideas to share, feel free to leave comments. We have more opinions to share. Please leave it as we all learn from each other, because I'm looking to learn and find questions find answers to questions that seem to plague the mind for quite a while. That all we are trying to find more answers to it. And then the more we find answers to these questions, the more we find it, the more we have more understanding of it. And then the more we get to appreciate this life that we have been given, this short journey we have been in. And that, once again, I want to say a big shout out to each and every one of you. For those who started this video and ended it, a big shout out to you. For those who are going to be subscribing and sharing, thanks, shout out to you. Until next time, bye for now.